Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today at MEOC, our Member Engagement and Outreach Committee. And looks like, sorry, we're getting a lot more people coming in, which is amazing. It looks like we're just getting more and more participants, and I am loving that. So, as we kick off, just want to introduce myself if you haven't met me yet. My name is Sarah Miller, she, her. And I am the engagement and collaboration manager for the QA team, CCO QA team, quality assurance team. And looks like we are getting some folks. As we're starting to get in, make sure that you are muted unless you want to come off mute to speak. Would be phenomenal. And yeah, so Veronica Herrera is an engagement analyst on my team, and she has been the amazing coordinator of the back end and the front end of MEOC. And I deeply appreciate everything that she does. So she will be facilitating for most of our meeting today, but we'll go ahead and get started with a review of our agenda just to go over what we will be chatting about today. Veronica?
Hi, everyone. Just confirmation, can you see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So for our agenda today, we'll be going over the 2025 meeting cadence. So we'll be seeing some changes with some of the CCO OHA meetings. Then we'll go into the welcome packet review process. We'll have Lindsay Baker and Alexis Cole give the December CCO spotlight. And then we'll have a CCO discussion regarding best practices on emergency office closure procedures. And Justin Briggs from All Care will give some insight on the process that they had and share some CCO successes. And then we'll have some announcements and roundtable from all of you. So with that, we'll go over the 2025 meeting cadence. So this is our last meeting for 2024, and we had some changes, and our team took on this meeting, and so we'll have a different cadence for next year. This is an OHA attempt to have greater ease for topic alignment, have limited holiday disruptions, no meeting clustering, and so this is to help CCOs join more meetings and possibly have some in-person days. So I think all of them are going to fall on Tuesdays, and we will stay on the third week of the month. So we'll be third Tuesday of each month. And the time will be the same, so it'll be 2:05 to 3:30, and it'll just be on the third Tuesday. So there I put some dates. If you want to refer back, our website will have all the dates, and then you can refer back to this slide. For other OHA meetings, we have the CCO Operations Collaborative, which is on the second Tuesday. We have All Plan System Technical and Oral Health Forum on the third Tuesday, and then CCO Contracts and Compliance, that's on the fourth Tuesday. So I think those are all. If you have any questions about other OHA meetings, I would recommend that you check on the website for any other meeting changes. All right, so now we'll go on to our welcome packet reviews. So this is the first, oh, go ahead, sir.
Sorry, Veronica, I was just going to kick it off, but yeah, so this is one of those areas. So as we kind of spoke about making sure that all of our partners were kind of informed about some of the work that we do on the back end. This is another opportunity for us to involve you in some of what we do on the back end. So when you submit some things to us, give you more clarity on what that looks like, as well as kind of some best practices and things that we're seeing. So today's Veronica is going to start with our welcome packet reviews. But again, this is just kind of some information for you, but also to align kind of processes and let you know what's kind of the back end. What does that look like, and how can we help each other?
Yes. And so this is actually the first year that the welcome packet was a separate contract deliverable. So this is a new process for CCOs, as well as a new process for our team. So this is our first time doing these welcome packet reviews. Like Sarah said, we want to be transparent about what the process is and be able to give that opportunity for CCOs to give input on what are the good things that you are seeing as you are submitting things and receiving our feedback. So So we'll cover an overview of the process, what timelines look like, the checklist for materials, what are we looking at when we're reviewing these materials, and then open it up for feedback and discussion. So what is in a welcome packet? These are all the documents that are in the welcome packet, and they're separated by if you're sending it out to a new member or to a current member. So for the new members, we're looking at the welcome letter, ID cards, non-discrimination statement and policy, the top 15 non-English language access notice statement, and the health risk assessment. For current members, we're looking at the annual reminder letter, and then again, that non-discrimination statement, and the top 15 non-English language access notice. And so this year it was done a little bit later, but for the next coming year, in the portal, there will have that submission folder specifically for welcome packets. So I have a little screenshot below where you'll be able to find it. And this will help to submit all the files together under one submission ID number. And this will be easier for us as reviewers, so we don't have to go looking for different files, and then easier for the CCOs, so you can get your feedback all under one submission ID. And then just to note, verify that when you submit something on the portal, that you are noting it. I think there can be some issues if you see it on your side and we're not seeing it on our side. So just make sure that you are verifying that your submission is successfully uploaded onto the portal. Okay. And over the evaluation criteria. So this is what we are looking for when we're reviewing these documents. OHA will post at least 90 days before the due date. So this is 90 days before that November 1st due date. And we will upload this on our member materials page under checklists. And these evaluation criteria have all the elements on exactly what we're looking for. So you know how to set up your welcome packet materials. And then in the columns, there'll be OHA, CCO scoring. So we'll be scoring whether the material is compliant, non-compliant, and what exactly we're looking for. So any type of required change, a recommendation, a no, or any type of clarification that we're asking for. And again, so we'll be putting all of our notes and our feedback on that criteria. That criteria will then be uploaded onto the portal. And so all type of communications related to a welcome packet will be on the portal. If you have further questions or want to get a quicker answer, you can email your reviewer. So on the portal, you can see who the reviewer is and you can email them. And if you need further clarification or want a more in-depth discussion, you can certainly request TA sessions. The review timelines for the welcome packets, we can get them at any time, but we won't start the review until November 1st. So from November 1st, we have 30 days for that initial review. From there, we may submit corrections needed or any clarifications. Then CCOs will then have 14 days to review, to go back and submit those updates and back into the portal, or we may send an approval for that document. So it'll either be corrections needed, clarifications, or you'll see that approval on the portal. Some frequently asked questions we have for the welcome packet. Does a language access statement need to be at the beginning of a document? No, they can be anywhere, but most commonly where we see is at the top of the document or the bottom of the document. Does every welcome packet document need to include a notice with the top 15 non-English languages? No, there's only one language access notice with the top languages is needed per envelope or packet. So this will usually be satisfied by the requirement that it's in the non-discrimination statement. So you don't need a language access for every single document, just as long as it's in that packet. Okay, and so here we are with the feedback. So what went well in this welcome packet reviews and how can OHA improve this process? So if you want, you can send it in the chat or unmute yourself. And if maybe the person that does the welcome packets is not here, you can ask them to email us at our email to let us know.
So we'll allow a couple minutes here just to see if anyone wants to come off of mute. This is just one more area where we want to create some good collaboration and see what it is that we could do differently and or improve, and what you guys would like to see, how you do your process, and how we can be more conducive to that as well. So we'd love to hear if anyone has any feedback on that. Yes. Bye.
Hi, this is Steve Needham at Care Oregon. We have Jackson Care Connect and Columbia Pacific CCOs, along with we support Health Share of Oregon in several instances. I would say thank you for this. This is really great and a good, clear information. I would say my one piece of feedback would be the timing of when these materials are reviewed and approved. Because if it's expected that these materials would need to be updated in the next year's packets, that is extremely problematic from a production standpoint when you start to take into consideration the need for translation and the need for print production and updating. So you know how we update the handbooks, and they're supposed to be updated by the first of the year and going out to new members. There's a lot of disconnection that could happen when materials are switching out that are old and new, and so that's my one issue. So my recommendation would be to have this review process much earlier in the game and during the year, maybe September, because there's also a lot of design that has to be done, and I don't think all of the CCOs have dedicated resources, and so it could become very labor intensive and expensive. So I think that's something to take in consideration for next year.
Thank you for sharing that. We'll I can take this to the team and see what we can do to support that. Did you have something to add, Ronnie? If you're speaking, I can't hear you. I'm not sure. I'm the only one with the issue.
Looks like they need it.
Okay. Yes, Tarina?
Yes, hi, it's Taryn from IHN CCO, and I was wondering, do you anticipate the requirements for what goes into these packets or the evaluation criteria changing much for next cycle?
I would not know. If anyone, maybe Tiff is on the call. I know for the health risk assessment, we don't, my team doesn't determine that criteria. It's more in the care coordination team, but if anyone's on the call, they can respond to that.
Hey there, this is Tiff. I would just jump in to say, unlikely that anything's going to change. We've already incorporated all of our Section 1557 requirements for this year. The health risk assessment may have some additional information, or maybe pared down a little bit. So that's really the only one I could imagine changing for next year. But everything else is going to be very, very similar.
That's super helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Echoing with what Steve was talking about, if there are major changes in scope, that's also something that would be helpful to get sooner rather than later, so that we can make sure that we're staying on schedule.
Thank you for sharing. Any other comments or feedback?
I guess I have one more question about the new 1557 and the I understand the new rules and importance of access, but is the state taking into consideration that we're almost quadrupling the size of the document that has to be printed? So it's, could be 4 times the cost. Is that at all? I totally understand that it's important to to get the correct information and have that access. But is the state taking that into consideration when it comes to budgets and things like that, specifically around printing?
That is a great question, Steve, and a wonderful call out. So that's the type of thing that we want to help to work with folks on, in terms of, hey, what are your processes? How are you doing things? And putting it out there. As for the 1557 guidelines, so we're just uploading, or I'm sorry, we are basically helping to implement them through the federal guidelines, right? So they're federal 1557 rule changes. So we're helping to make sure that we're enacting those too and adhering to that at a state level. I would, I guess, ask maybe some more clarifying questions about your process in terms of materials that you use, production, how long things take. Is there a specific document that you're thinking that's being or requiring more paper, materials, et cetera?
Well, yeah, the new 1557, just a couple years ago, it was one sheet of paper, both sides, with the language access and the non-discrimination, and now it is 5 sheets of paper because of mostly because of the 18-point requirement of the MLI of the 15 languages. So yeah, I'm not disputing that that's not something that we shouldn't do. I was just more curious if the state is taking that into consideration when it comes to reimbursement of funds, because that will pump up. Because if we have to put that in every single new member packet, and we're two small CCOs, but I think about someone like HSO, that's going to be many, many thousands of dollars of extra of cost. And not only that, but if you think about the eco footprint
Yeah.
that we're incurring, and to a piece that most people, as we all know, we all receive these, get thrown straight into the recycle bin. So curious if there's any, if there's anything that is being thought from a process improvement standpoint to be more economical and ecological in the future for this.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate you bringing it up. At this point, we do have some topics in the works. Our team does, at least, in terms of access, electronic format, what we may want to do in the future, and how folks are accessing information that may help. But I think that you call into question a good thought process, which is, no, we don't have visibility to that, and that's why we created forums like that, so we could hear what that sounds like from your guys' end, because it may not even be on our radar because of our visibility to what your processes are. So I want to thank you for bringing that up. I wonder, we could probably take this offline, but I would really love to maybe chat a little bit more with you to see what does that look like, so that we can maybe help to create interventions to alleviate that, and then things that we might be able to share or implement for all of our CCO partners. Because if it's likely an issue for you guys, it could be for everyone. So
I imagine it will be for everyone. Yeah. And like I said, we don't have nearly as many members as HSO, and so they're going to really feel it, hundreds of thousands of those pieces. So
yeah. Any other CCOs that have a similar concern, or have maybe implemented interventions already on something like that? Yes, go ahead.
It's Tierney again. I would just say that our prints fund is much larger than when I was at a blue plan that was more commercial market oriented. That plan had a digital first approach, and so much of its annual materials and the like were we were directing new members and current members to experience that via QR codes to hover over and then access those materials through the web. And that allowed for not just a reduction in the economic and ecological component of things, but it also created better accessibility, because with websites you can modify the language very easily. And you can also do some additional accessibility things around large formatting and that kind of thing. And so rather having to deal with the additional versioning for print files and then posting those, it allowed us to be able to see what parts of the packets were being consumed, because of course if it's something digital like a QR code, that's traceable and you can customize it so that you know what specific member was engaging with what type of material, and then you would be able to then base future outreach on the kinds of things that they have indicated through their engagement of what they're interested in. Whereas if we're sending kind of a brick in the mail, that can be difficult. The other thing that I think of as we've been going through this journey ourselves is that we all know that brand recognition and affinity for the Oregon Health Plan as a brand is pretty high. But whether or not someone really understands what their CCO is and its connection to the Oregon Health Plan is much less high. I believe the latest research was that it was in the low 60s. And so in that regard, anytime we're sending something in the mail as well, there's that friction point where they may not recognize that this is tied to their health care. And so they might be not opening it, or perhaps they've moved, and so then we get the return mail and then we have to resend, and so there's that added cost and ecological impact. And so anytime that we can move something into a digital category, it allows us to measure and reach much more effectively. And so if there's an opportunity for that, and OHA already leads when it comes to Medicaid, this might be an area that we could lead as well.
Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, or sorry, good afternoon. I did ask this question in a previous meeting, and I just kind of wanted to bring it on again. Is we're talking about the member welcome packets and the better way. We hear from our members, that again, unfortunately, they do tend to, I ask them, did you reference your handbook, or did you see that in your handbook, or try to point it to them. They kind of let us know that they don't really spend much time on that. It's too big, it's too much, and it kind of doesn't remain in their home. But anyway, one of my questions was, one of the challenges around the electronic communications is the consent. I had asked previously, when the members are actually applying, if there is any way that there could be any type of consent presented at that time, saying, would you give consent for your CCO to contact you electronically? Even vendors that we work with, different programs and things that we really want these members to become involved with. One, for instance, we're working with now, one of their ways of outreach is through text and email. And again, I'm like, well, we can't do that. We have to get those consents first. So again, one of the points where everybody seems to touch and get that that attention is when they're completing that packet. So I was just wondering if there's any room anywhere there that we could have that member sign off before they even come to the CCO.
So this is Tiff. I'll jump in really quickly. I'm going to drop something in the chat, but you can absolutely text and email folks that are your members. There's some information on the materials page that I'm going to post in the chat as well. There's some very specific rules around that. It's mostly federal FCC clarification information, just to ensure that we're not telemarketing. But because you already have a relationship and it's expected that you will be communicating to your members about benefits and appointments and things like that, it's definitely okay for you to do that via text message or email. So I'll drop that in the chat.
Prior to getting their consent, you're saying that we can go ahead and do that, because I think that I thought it explicitly stated that we had to get the members' consent before we could start communicating with them electronically.
So when the member actually opts into OHP, they belong, to the Oregon Health Plan, and then technically they belong to you as well, your CCO. And so you don't have to get prior consent. We get consent through the one system to reach out to them via text and email as well as phone. And so I will drop some of this in chat that may help clarify this, but yeah, it's definitely not
that would
required.
Be wonderful.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Would be wonderful. Thank you, because that's been one of our hesitancies, is going through that process to get the consent from them before we could even start, sending out those texts. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to add that. And if you have any questions, follow up, like we can definitely chat offline.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all for the comments and the discussion. We're going to take some of these questions, these comments and thoughts back to our team, and then try to reach out to some of you individually if that works, that we may understand a little bit more about your processes so that we can appropriately move forward. But again, this is part of why we revamped MEOC, and we really love your feedback, your suggestions, and insight into your operations that we may not have. So this is super helpful for us. And yeah, we'll take that back to our team, look at that, and then reach out individually. If not, we'll try to move forward and see if we can't make some good changes at this level. So yeah, thank you all.
That we will go to our CCO spotlight. So if Lindsay or Alexis is here, can get started on their presentation.
And just a reminder, as they get on the call, our CCO spotlight on is something new we've started as our team has taken over MEOC. And it's really this great opportunity to have each of the CCOs or any of our CCO partners share the incredible work that they do, and to share it with all of us, and to be able to kind of do some collaboration there. So we are wanting to have more folks step up for CCO Spotlight. So if you would like to share the great work that you and your CCO are doing, please contact us. We'd love to have you. And thank you for Umpqua for doing this today.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity to be here and to share with you all a little bit of the work that we're doing. My name is Lindsay Baker. I'm the Chief of Staff for Umpqua Health. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Alexis Cole, my colleague, our marketing project manager. This has kind of been her project, so she's going to share with you what we've been working on. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexis Cole, and I'm the marketing project manager at Umpqua Health. I've been with the organization for about 6 months, and like Lindsay said, this is one of the first major projects that I worked on when I started. So I'm really excited to share with you our member and engagement campaign that we're calling Homegrown Healthcare Caring for You. For those of you who are not aware, we represent Douglas County, and this campaign is a reflection of our commitment to Douglas County, its people, its families, and even its future. Today, I will show you the vision behind this campaign, the inspiring themes we've come up with, and how we're bringing it to life to really connect with our members and community. Next slide, please. Or if you could go back one slide. At the heart of this campaign is a simple yet profound idea, and that idea is healthcare is more than services. It's about building connections. And our vision is to create a healthier Douglas County by fostering meaningful relationships with our members and investing deeply in our community. Our objective is twofold. First, we want to show our members how much we care by meeting them where they are and addressing their unique needs. And then second, we want to partner with the community in ways that help us grow together. This campaign is not just about visibility, it's about creating those touch points where people feel seen. We all want to feel seen, and we want our members to feel seen. We want them to feel supported, and we want them to feel inspired. Next slide, please. To bring this vision to life, we built this campaign around 3 interconnected themes, each focusing on a specific aspect of care and connection. First, we have Caring for You. This theme is very personal. It's about tailoring care to the unique need of each member, not just providing health care, but reassurance and trust, whether that's a ride to an appointment or simply knowing that your provider is invested in you. This theme embodies personalized care. Second, we have Caring for You. Or caring for all of us. And here we expand the lens to the broader community. So during the holiday season, for example, we can focus on collective efforts like food drives and holiday meals and community programs that help everyone in the community thrive. And finally, we have Grow With Us. This theme highlights progress, both individual and collective. It's about growth, whether that's a member's health journey or Douglas County local economy. These themes were carefully chosen based on member feedback and community priorities, and they also align with our goals internally. Next slide, please. To make these things resonate, we've anchored the campaign in language that feels familiar and even heartfelt. Words like home, local, neighbors, heart, roots, and grow. We intentionally chose these words because they reflect the essence of our community. They evoke a sense of belonging and pride in Douglas County, reminding our members that their healthcare is as deeply rooted here as they are. For example, when we say roots, we mean the foundation of healthcare built right here in the community. When we say grow, we are inviting members to take part in a shared journey of health and progress. And these words here on this screen shows or sets the tone for every message we share within this campaign. Next slide, please. Here are a few examples of the words in our messaging. One of our key messages is homegrown healthcare is about growing a local healthcare system that's responsive to the needs of people like you. Another example, Grow With Us. This message encourages members and the community to really take pride in shared progress, whether that's personal health or the broader community development. We are using hashtags like hashtag homegrown healthcare and hashtag grow with us to really unify our digital messaging across platforms and even foster engagement. Each of these messages ties back to the overarching goal, which is to inspire trust and participation while celebrating our collective identity as a community. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about how we are executing this campaign. We've designed it to really meet members where they are, whether that's on the road, online, or in their mailbox. For visual presence, we are rolling out side of bus ads and member transport vehicle wraps. They serve as a moving reminder of our commitment to accessibility and care. In the digital space, we're using social media ads in both English and in Spanish, along with email newsletters and display banners. And then finally, we can't forget traditional media. We've crafted radio scripts and direct mail pieces that highlight our role in the community. Next slide, please. So the next few slides, I'll show you some of our assets. Here on the left side, you'll see the bus ads that we are rolling out. And on the right is our social media ad with the posts for preventative care, highlighting regular physicals, dental checkups, and annual flu. Next slide, please. Additional social media ads. This one on the left is Rides to Care, and the other one is Urgent Care. Next slide. For Black Friday, we did a half-page ad and news review. We also created and sent out direct mail postcards. One side was in English, and then the other side was in Spanish. Next slide. Oh. And here are our member transport vehicle wraps in the homegrown healthcare branding. Next. So it's still too early to have final data, but we are setting some clear expectations for what success looks like for us. We anticipate increased participation in programs and services like Rides to Care. We are aiming to have higher engagement rates on social media and in our digital campaigns. And then finally, we hope to see more community involvement at events and a stronger sense of connection among our members. For us, homegrown healthcare isn't just a campaign. We look at it as a movement. So like I said earlier, it's a commitment to every member, every family, and every community in Douglas County. Looking ahead, we're excited to build on the momentum of this campaign. All three themes that we've used, caring for you, caring for all of us, and grow with us, will remain central as we continue to tell stories, engage with our members, and invest in the community. I cannot forget to highlight Madison Ave Collective. They were very instrumental in helping us put together this campaign from concepting to execution. So just want to thank them for their work with helping us create this campaign. That's all I have.
That's amazing. Thank you, Alexis and team. That is phenomenal. Are you open to questions, fielding questions from the group?
Sure.
Awesome. Well, I may kick it off just because I'm curious, but I love that you are going to look at certain measures of success for this particular campaign. So it sounds like you might have some baseline data already on engagement and that sort of thing. Have you started measuring that, or do you have a certain time period you're planning on measuring that over?
We want to get at least 3 months before we start to make any tweaks to the campaign. We got a late start. We actually started in November. And so right now it's still too early to see if we need to tweak messaging or tweak the graphics. But we're going to look at digital and social media, as well as seeing if we had a QR code on the direct mail piece and seeing how many scans we got from the direct mail pieces as well.
Oh, okay. Great.
Go ahead, Tierney.
Thank you. I went back onto slide 18 around your vision. I'm kind of obsessed with the whys of things. And it looks like ultimately this is a brand-oriented campaign. And so is that so far working for you in that regard? Are you seeing deeper engagement or participation with some of the programs related to some of our quality metrics, or how is this kind of going above and beyond the brand left?
It's still too early. Like I said, we started at the end of November. I think we're, what, 3 weeks in, Lindsay? But hopefully by January, February, we can start looking at some of those metrics to see if they're working in our favor, or do we need to make any tweaks. But we relied on just a deep understanding of our community's values and feedback from our members, what they were looking for, what they were wanting to see, to put this message together and to create a cohesive narrative for that would align with our vision and our mission.
Thank you, Alexis. It really is beautiful.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Alexis or Lindsay? No other questions? Well, I'd like to add on that, yeah, it was a beautiful campaign. So I was reviewing it and I thought it was so amazing. So I told Lindsay that they had to present it and share it. So thank you for presenting, and a reminder to all CCOs, if you have something you want to share, don't be shy, come share it with everyone, and, share all your hard work. And it can also be anything like an issue resolution or something you've noticed with member engagement and outreach. We'd love to have all CCOs share all the hard work that you are doing. So thank you, Alexis and Lindsay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next we have our CCO discussion. We're talking about emergency office closure procedures. So this was a topic identified during a member handbook TA session. And so that was with all care. So I'm going to pass it to Justin if he would like to share the process of how they identified some of the gaps in their emergency office closure procedure, all the background, everything that they did, and the expansive plan that they have now. So if Justin is here.
Unfortunately, hi, this is Sheila from All Care. I don't see Justin on the call today, and I don't see that he's in the office currently.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if there was a communication issue, but I truly apologize because I do not see him available.
Okay, no problem. So let's see. Okay. Well, I have a little bit of background. If maybe Janet is here, she would like to, she was part of the TA session. If you're not here, Janet, let me see, is Janet here?
Hello, how are you all?
Hi, Janet. Maybe you can give a little bit of background on what you noticed throughout that TA session and give some notes, and then we can just go into this discussion with all of our CCO representatives.
Well, was it the welcome books or welcome handbooks? There was a particular part that added, what would you do in case there was an emergency closure? How would you notify people? Those type of things. And this group it was beautifully done. They went through the whole step by step, not just like, oh, we would close down that office, but what would we do internally as well? And who's the person that's making the decisions? And how does that decision get filtered down? And so that is what was really nice to see and hear. In fact, they developed they asked for a little bit of extension, I believe, because they were still writing the whole new process. This had prompted them to write in a new internal process. And as we all have experienced the last 5 or 6 years, emergencies, natural disasters, world pandemics can hit. And how do we handle it when it's not that crisis, and putting it down on paper? That sounded very old school to say on paper, but I hope everybody understands what that means. So I hope that helps, Veronica.
Yes, thank you. So from that, we wanted to open the floor for all CCOs to discuss how macro is your emergency plan due to the last natural disasters? Have you noticed any gaps in your planning? Have you identified that you need any help in this plan, and how we can be of support in that? So opening up to CCOs if you want to respond. Yes, Dana.
Yeah, I guess I was just kind of thinking about this and just seeing it on the agenda, not really knowing what it was about. But now that we've got a little more context to it, I guess I'm wondering too, is this, do folks consider this part of their business continuity disaster recovery plan? Or do you think this is, are you picturing this as more of like a separate, just, kind of boots on the ground if something happens and, the heat doesn't work in your office and you have to close it up? Like, what are you doing to inform people? Or, and is it members or is it employees? Or I guess I'm just kind of looking for some parameters maybe around what this is really about.
I think it's all. I think it's every aspect of it. And I think that's why I was so impressed was, and I'm not, mind you, it was a small snippet of view I got to see. So I'm sure everybody else has their own beautiful aspect. But it was, what would you do if you had to shut down because of the heat? Who would you call? And who's making that decision? And then if it's bigger than that one office, it affects the whole county or counties. Who's making that decision from up top, and who's letting people internally know all the way down to the members?
So like for each building. So it's not like it's, right, if you just had an office that was kind of an outlier, it was in the path of a wildfire or something, we're going to close that office down, but the admin office is still open.
Right, but then what is the protocol of who gets that information first? And
Gotcha.
All that, the nitty gritty that sometimes falls apart in the heat of an emergency, which I hope we never have to use. I want to be very clear.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the discussion, right? Is how macro is your emergency plan. And just looking at kind of information sharing on what folks are using and best practices, and anything that you've noticed along the course of your business in those kind of things. Looks like we have something in the chat too that is, okay, they have that part of your overall business continuity planning. Makes sense, yep. And then in combination with the hospital system, so it looks a little bit different than a typical CCO does. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we can move on forward. I guess if you have any thoughts on this discussion, feel free to email us. That's it. Okay, now we have an announcement from Lauren Murphy. So this was a topic brought up at, I think, the October CCO Spotlight when Lauren Murphy, she presented returned mail issue. And so I think she will, she's going to start leading the work group to figure out how to identify solutions, think of root cause analysis, and so she has an announcement if she's here.
Well, you pretty much told the announcement. It's that's exactly what it is. We are banding together and forming an X-Force to eradicate the return mail issue. I know that's a lofty goal, but I'm determined. It's my goal for 2025 is to be in a better place at the end of the year than we started, and there's no place to go but up. So that's good. But I wanted to invite anyone. I've gotten a couple of people that have reached out to me and said that they would like to be a part of that crew. So if you would like to join us, I would love to have you reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat if you want to join the group. I'm going to start scheduling the meetings in January, you know, after all this like end of year stuff's over with. So if you would like to join our group, let me know. And we will give updates here as we start to come up with some ideas and some best practices for return mail. That's
And
it.
Lauren, would you mind just kind of giving a broad overview for those of the folks on the call who are maybe not on the call when
Absolutely.
you presented this? Yeah,
Absolutely.
just in context.
Well, basically, and I'm sure all like shaking your heads when I say this, we have a mass of return mail. And a lot of that stems obviously from our population. We have a population that might be transient, might not have a home, might not understand that they need to contact us when they move. So when we get all of this mail back, it's sort of like, it's depressing because the gentleman was saying earlier about the cost involved in sending all of this. And, you know, you put all this hard work into these handbooks and then they're just coming right back to you. And a problem that creates is also that it's not just a burden for us financially, but the member is not getting notified. So if we don't have the right address, that means that OHA doesn't have the right address. So anything that they're sending to them, anything that we're sending them, they might not even know that they have benefits, that they've been given benefits through Medicaid. So they're not going to utilize it. And I mean, I think, you know, we all have a long list of members that have zero utilization. And I think part of that is because they don't know they have Medicaid. So we want to eradicate that. And this work group wants to come up with ideas on how best to get the mail to our members, the best way to make sure that we have the correct addresses and we have the best way to contact them. So, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, sorry. It's me, the gentleman about the
Steve
Nita from
yes.
Care Oregon. I popped in the chat too, if it's possible, I think, to have some sort of knowledge or guidance from the USPS as well, because of they do have a national change of address system that seems to run in not aligned specifically with our or with OHA's regulations about not using the NCOA process forwarding.
That's great. That's actually, and that's one of the things that we'll probably discuss. So come join us, Steve.
All right, happy to.
Okay. Yeah, and we do have some ideas. We've come up with some creative ideas, but I'm really excited to have a big think tank here to brainstorm. And I'm sure one of you guys out there has a great nugget for me. So please come one, come all. I wish I could have refreshments, but you know, it's hard to do that digitally. So please come and join us. Thank you.
Did you have a comment, Tierney?
Oh, I was just volunteering to join.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop my email in the chat. If you could just anybody that wants to join, email me so I have everybody's names, and then we'll you should be on the lookout for a invite probably sometimes towards the end of next week. And you know, if you get to me after that, that's fine. We'll just forward you the invite.
All right. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you.
With that, if anyone, any CCO, OHA program wants to share, provide any updates, any project status, celebrations, kudos, questions, comments, we provide this roundtable time if you want to share anything. So you can go ahead and unmute yourself or drop in the chat anything you'd like to share.
And this time is also open for any other previous discussions that we've had today that you maybe thought about a little bit longer and then decided to want to ask. So yeah, we wanted to open that up.
Yes, Taryn.
Sorry, I'm just all over it fruit today.
We love it. We love it.
We at our CCO, we have around 90,000 or so members for this line of business, and what we realized is that as we're trying to go toward this more digital oriented journey, we're bringing a new tech stack called HubSpot that will allow us to email and text members and run a number of care gap campaigns and those kinds of things to make sure that people who have access to benefits are actually using their benefits. But we only have 9 email addresses for that 90,000 some odd member population. And what we discovered is that email addresses are not included in the 834 file that comes through. And then the other thing that we discovered is that the phone number that's coming through is not identifying what type of phone number that is, whether or not it's a landline or a cell phone that can receive text messages. I'm not even going to go into MMS versus SMS. Like, let's just get to SMS. And so I was wondering if other CCOs who have been around longer than me, if you guys, where are you at with your journey? How have you guys been collecting that information that we're not necessarily getting in those 834 files? That would be really helpful and wonderful to learn about.
If no one is here to respond, I did add it actually for the next meeting. So I did get your email, but just in case no one is prepared for that question now, I am adding it to the January discussion. So maybe you're not the person that would know, but you can invite other people in your CCO that might have this information. Kelly, yes.
I actually have a response for Tarana. Kelly Kitson, I'm a personal health navigator and member enrollment specialist at Trillium Community Health Plan. We have a very similar population size. We're at about 104, 105,000 members. We have the benefit, and I don't know if this is something that ICHN could leverage as well, but we have a member portal. And because our members go in and manually register for that, they have the ability to update their email address if they have a change of email address even on that portal. So that is how our system gets their email address. As far as like the phone type, we're in the same boat. We just kind of have to guess. And it's just we're getting ready to start those text campaigns about returned mail. So that's something that we're just blanket. If you have a phone number, you're going to go on the text campaign. And if it's not a text capable number, it's not a text capable number, but we have the proof that we tried.
Thank you, Kelly. We're moving to a new vendor that we're partnering with for our member portal in August of next year. And so that will be something we can do as well. I was just hoping to do it before.
Totally understand. And I know, like, I sit in our office and I get all of our member returned mail. So I totally understand how frustrating and distressing that can be.
Thank you, Kelly, for your input. I'll just keep it as a discussion for a January meeting for other CCOs that this may be an issue too, so we can have a full discussion and make sure that we have are prepared to answer this question. So I'll still have it for the Tuesday, January 21st meeting. Let's see. If you have any topics that you would like for the next meeting. Again, a reminder, there is that form that you can submit agenda requests, and I will look through and then see if we can add it to the next meeting. So our next meeting is Tuesday, January 21st. Another thought that we have, since we're going into a new year, we're still transitioning, still trying to make MEOC a better avenue for collaboration. So I want to open the door and ask if there's anything specifically you want to see in 2025, if there's different activities that you want MEOC to do, like breakout rooms or more discussions, or something that else you would want to see. So you can drop it in the chat or email us if you like. And then a reminder to subscribe to any MEOC updates. So again, this is where I'll be sending out all the materials. So you'll see the presentation. Before the meeting, I'll send the agenda, and I'll also call out any discussions. So just so that way you can have CCO representatives come prepared with the discussion. So I will send everything out on that newsletter, so you can subscribe there. And I think that is it for our meeting today. If anyone else wants to share anything or has any questions.
And just a quick reminder too, if you are not necessarily the person, or if you have someone else in your organization that works really closely with some of the topics that we've discussed here, please make sure that you involve them and or forward along the invite to make sure that we're getting some of the right folks at the table to tackle some of these issues. But yes, we would love to hear, we've taken over MEOC for the last several months here and kind of doing this revamp, this renewed space. And so we would love to hear from you guys anything else that would be helpful for you to make it a more collaborative space, to learn more, to share more. So we would love to hear anything else that you would like to see at MEOC as we're planning for this next year too. Any final questions, thoughts, items for discussion, things that you want to make sure that we potentially address in the future from anyone? Yes, go ahead.
Again, I'm an external processor, so I think out loud. So just a thought for consideration, since most of us are in single CCO territories where we're not really competing against each other for members, there might be an opportunity for us to do a little bit more of best practice sharing, or for example, if we run an RCCO campaign, to encourage well child visits, and that ends up being really fruitful for us, then maybe another CCO in a different part of the state might like to take that campaign and replicate it within their CCO. And I don't know if there's an interest in that, but I would imagine we're all running on pretty lean resources. And so if there's something that's successful in one neck of the woods that might be successful in other parts, that might be something nice to consider.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think that is our intention as we took MEOC. We really want to make it a space that CCOs can share best practices, and if there's an issue, they identify how they identify that gap, and what resources partners do you use, and what were the steps to get there. And so we do want to emphasize that, and that's kind of why we have the CCO spotlight, so CCOs have that chance to share. And so yeah, thank you for sharing that.
It looks like Steve put something in there too about submission site training. Is that related to our portal? To clarify.
Yeah, sorry. I was just
Okay.
curious if there was, I know that there are materials on your site, and those are great. I'm just curious if there's any opportunity to be part of a process improvement, or road mapping or anything like that. Just little things that, we've seen over the years. What kind of things could we do to kind of streamline processes for the CCOs?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for bringing that up. We have talked about that internally as a group in terms of what training materials, how we present training, and how we can improve. So that's really good to hear, so that we can kind of emphasize, bring that up to our team about something that to prioritize for this next year.
Great.
Well, if there's no other comments, feel free to email us at ccoengagementteam@oha.oregon.gov. If you have any other thoughts about what you would like to see in MEOC or any other questions. So I really appreciate you all for joining our December meeting, and I hope you have a good holiday, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.